Hi all, this is Miss Osborne's homework helper for the week of February 26th. I'm working on dividing decimals by decimals. So I'm working in my room at home, my office, because I forgot to do this at school, and since I'm not working tomorrow, Mama, don't knock that over, Mama. So what I'm showcasing is the decimal by decimal division that we're working on for the homework this week, and it says dividing decimals, and it has F because it's letter F worksheet for some reason. So I went ahead and I'm working with the first problem that looks like this. Now today I taught the kids if there's a decimal, well, the first strategy I taught kids was if there is a decimal in the house, raise it to the roof. If there's a decimal on the side, slide. So we need to both do some sliding and then we eventually need to raise it to the roof. So right here, I have a decimal on the side. I need to slide it. 1 spot, 2 spots. Basically to make this a whole number. And then if I slid 2 spots this way to get to the end of the numbers, the digits, I need to slide here 1, 2. So now my new decimal is right here. So what you do outside the house, you have to do within the house. So I slid my decimals. So now my work looks like this. I've moved the decimal over here and the decimal is now moved over. So you have tenths and hundredths right here beyond the decimal. So I'm gonna go ahead and start doing some of this work. I'm gonna erase these the little lines underneath just to keep my work a little bit neater. They help me with tracking, so I encourage kids to do them. But if you need to, erase them as you go. Okay, so I'm gonna do, I think, digit by digit on this one. So I'm looking at 168. I know that can't go into 1. I know that can't go into 11. I know that can't even go into 110. So I'm looking at 1008. So I'm looking at all these digits here, 1108. So I think that'll go in maybe 8 times. So I'm gonna do some math. 168 times 8. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that on the side. 168 times 8. So 8 times 8, 4. 8s are always my trouble spot. So 16 times 4 is, so it's 64. And then 6 times 8. So I'm just over here checking some of my math. 6 times 8. So 8 times 5 is 40. So 8 times 6 is 48. Plus 6 more. So that's 54. And then I'm carrying my 5. 8 times 1 is 8. Plus 5 more is 13. So the number I got is too high. So we play a lot of this high-low game in division. So this is too high. So I'm going to go down to 168 times 6. Times 6, that's what I'll do. Or no, I'll do it times 5 and just see what happens because I like multiplying by 5s. So 168 times 5, set up like that. 8 times 5 is 40. 6 times 5 is 30 plus 4 more, so that's 34. 5 times 1 is 5 plus 3 more is 8. So now I'm at 840, and I know that's not enough. So I'm going to go and I'm going to try times 6 because I think that'll get me closer, but instead of going and multiplying by 6, I can just take this number and add 168 to it. So I can figure out, oh, hi Mama. Okay, and one more. So that gives me 1008. That's pretty close. So I don't think I can add, I mean, I might try to add 168 again, but I think that's going to be too much. So I'm up to 6 times, so I'm going to add 168 because we know that multiplication is just repeated addition. Yep, that's way too much. Way too much. So I'm going to go back. So here's times 5 plus one more, so 6. 6, and it goes over the 8 because I used all those digits. 6 times 168 is 1008. So that gives me 0, 0, 1, and 8 here. So interesting little coincidence I see, and sometimes division problems just work out like this. I know that 1008 is the answer to 168 times 6, so I know that this next number is going to be 6. Mama's really giving you guys a little show here in the back. She's trying to get on camera. So I know that 6 times 168 is 1008. And that leaves me with 0 remainders. Now I'm not quite done because if there's a decimal in the house, I gotta raise it to the roof. So here's a decimal and I'm raising it straight up. So the answer to the first problem on the homework is 66 hundredths. So I'm gonna go ahead and do the next one. And I think I'm gonna try place value sections method on the next one. Okay, and that is, wow, Mama's really giving a little bit of a show for you guys. Okay, so this is place value sections. 0.5, so 5/10 divided by 7/10. It'd look like that. So remember, if there's a decimal on the side, slide. So I'm going to move that decimal here. Sorry, Mama's flipping out behind me. And moving that one right over. Now I'm going to slide again because I went and slid it one spot, so I'm going to slide this one. So now my decimal is to the right of the 5 and to the right of the 7. So it looks like that. Okay, so if I do place value sections with this, I'm going to make my rectangle. And my place value sections would look like that. So I know 5 doesn't go into 0, but 5 goes into 7 one time. 1 times 5 is 5. So that leaves me with 2. Now I know 5 can't go into 2, but last week we learned about adding a 0. So if you go ahead and you tack a 0 onto your problem, and you tack a 0 on down here, you're left with 20. So now you can make another box and say 20. How many times does 5 go into 20? 4 times. 4 times 5 is 20. And that has now left us with 0 remainders. So you'd go across the top and you'd think, okay, I have 1 and 4. I know the 1 goes over the 7, and I know the 4 goes over the 0 because that's where I had to add that 0 on. Now, there's a decimal in the house, so you raise it to the roof. Okay, hope that helped. I'm going to do another problem. I'm going to do, ooh, this one's more complicated. It went from really hard to really easy back to more complicated. This is 8.4, 8 and 4/10 divided by 561 and 96 hundredths. I'm going to do expanded notation. Now there are some kids in our class who really love this method, but I kind of find myself doing some digit by digit and expanded notation kind of mixed, so I'll show you how I do that. So the first thing I got to do is I got to take care of these decimals. Stop. That's my cat, Mama. I got to take care of these decimals. Go ahead and slid over, and I slid only one spot. So I'm going to slide this one, just one spot. I'm going to go ahead and erase my little lines just so I keep nice and neat in here. Mama, you're being a pain. Okay. So I did my sliding, did my moving. Now I need to start with my math. So I'm going to do some expanded notation. Hopefully I have enough room because this always takes a lot of room. I'm going to rewrite this part so I can see my decimal better. Mama, you're on my paper. Okay. So 84 cannot go into 5. It cannot go into 56, but it can go into 561. I'm going to guess and say that it goes into 561 5 times. So I'm going to check my work over here. 84 times 5 is 0. Carry my 2, 40, 420. Yep. So the great thing about expanded notation is you can just kind of keep going and going and going. And it allows you to build up your math as you go. So I'm going to go ahead and put the 5 over top of the 561, just like this. And add my zeros for place value. So 5 times 84 is 420, and I'm adding my zeros here because I added the zeros up there. So then I'm going to have to subtract. Okay, 6, 9, 1, 4, 1. And I'm left with 14,196. So now I need to look, does 84 go into 141? Yes, it does. It goes in one time. So we can go ahead and write 100 up here again. And go just like this. I think I'm going to run out of room. So now I'm ready to start my math here. I need to borrow. I'm left with 5,796. Okay. So I'm running out of room, so I'm going to adjust this. So I just took my last number I had and I just put it up here so I could have some more room to work. Now I need to look at how many times does 84 go into 557? It doesn't go into 57. But I know it goes into 579. Maybe it goes in, what do we think? 5 more times. So I add the 5 and the 0 up top. I'm going to make these a little bit smaller. 500, 150. So if I multiply 5 by 84 again, I get 420. And then I'm adding the 0 because the place value, so 50. Looks like that. Now I need to do my subtraction. I'm left with 1,596. So I know that 8 can go into 159. 84 can go into 159 one time. So I could go ahead and make that a 10 up here. Put the top, 10 up here. So 1 times 84 is 840. Sorry, I'm gonna like draw a line. This math is way too much. Had too much space. 6, 5. And I'm left with 756. I just took my subtraction and put it up here. So now how many times does 84 go into 756? So 84 can't go into 7, can't go into 5, so it has to go into 756. We know, because I left my work, that 84 times 5 is 420, so I at least need to go to 7, I think. 84 times 7. This is part of that high-low game. 4 times 7 is 8. Or 28, sorry, carry the 2. 8 times 7, so 8 times 5 is 40. 8 times, oh, so 56, 57, 58 when I carry the 2. So I know that's pretty close. 7. And put that 7 right above here. So I'm keeping these pretty nice, nice and straight in line above the numbers. So that's 588. So I'm going to go ahead and subtract that. $168 is what's left. So, and something tells me, I think it's 84 times 2 to finish this off. Because I know 8 times 8 is 16, or 8 times 2 is 16, and 4 times 2 is 8. So I'm going to test out that theory and do 84 times 2. 8, 16. Imagine that. This number I got over here, 168, I got by multiplying 84 twice, and that's the same number I have over here. So I'm going to go ahead and my 2, I'm going to write it again so it's nicer. 500, 150, 7, and 2. So it looks like that. So now what I have to do is I have to push this to the top, right? My decimal is coming my decimal is coming through to the roof right here. And so I need to think about what all these numbers mean. So I know 5 plus 1 is 6. 5 plus 0 and 0 is 5. I gotta remember my decimal. 7 plus 2 is 9. So your answer for the third problem is going to be like that. So you guys, some of these problems are super long. You're going to have to really, really work hard. So I suggest you do just a couple a night and try your best. Getting ready for our test next week, really studying, working on those multiplication facts and those division facts, okay? So sorry for the long video. Have a good night. That's only 3 of the 12 problems you have to do. Okay, see you tomorrow. Bye.